And I wanted to ask about kind of going back because, of course, you mentioned "Call Me Maybe," which, was just a smash hit. And like, of course, you've had Nickelback, you've been with affiliated with artists that have reached the top of the mountain like that. But was it pretty surreal to experience that with your own record label?
Yeah. Yes is the short answer. It's a hell of a thing when something like that happens. And, it's such a public facing business, which is, when you have a huge success like that is great because you feel like you're on top of the world. Um, and you kind of are because everybody knows the song, everybody knows the artist, everybody knows. But, the downside is when something doesn't work out, everybody knows that too. But yes, that was a whirlwind of a year. It's still shocking to me. I'll once in a while I'll go on to YouTube and look up all the cover versions and all the because if you remember, it really became almost like a meme. Like it was like everybody from the Olympic swimming team to Barack Obama had versions of it out there. Um, it was wild, man. Like it really was wild. But like a lot of things in this business, there's good and bad. Like when good things happen, bad things happen, and without getting into the details because I've signed 8 million NDAs about it. It ruined a lot of relationships. When money gets involved, what did Biggie Small say? More money, more problems, and that's kind of true. And listen, I'm so thankful for that song. Um, that song is why we own the building that we're in. Um, that song opened so many doors. That song pays salaries of employees here. Um, it's still hard for me to fathom and process. But I've been lucky, like I've been involved with a lot of really, really big hits. And it's never something you take for granted. It's something that you want to repeat, but it's hard to repeat, maybe impossible to repeat. So when it happens, it's almost like a lightning strike. It's so rare, or like winning Lotto 649. Like it's so rare, and it's almost like when it's happening, you don't even really know it's happening, and then later you kind of process it after it's all kind of settled down. But I believe it's still in the top 3 or 4 biggest selling digital singles in history. It's still super active. Barely a day goes by that there isn't some kind of email about it or use granted or it's really wild. It just never dies.
Yeah, yeah. And you were with Carly from the beginning, so you saw that whole arc take place. Is that right?
She came to me. She was on Canadian Idol, and I believe she came in third on Canadian Idol. Which, funny enough, same with Jacob Hogard from Headley. It seems like the people who came in third were the people who ended up having careers. But so, and remember, this is a long time ago, so it's all a bit blurry. But she got a hold of me and wanted to meet about management, and I think it was right after she was off the show. So I remember having a meeting with her and her dad, and I was a little skeptical about that one because I'm really not a fan of those idol shows. Mm, I don't hate them, but just not my cup of tea.
Hmm.
And so I was a little skeptical. I made certain assumptions because that's how I knew who she was. And there was a lot to like about her. I mean, she was charming and intelligent and pretty and a good conversationalist. And so, we had a lovely little meeting. And I think at the end she sort of said something like, "Well, are you interested?" And I said, like, "Yeah." I said, I am interested. I said, "But I have to tell you, I really prefer to work with artists who write their own music. Um, you know, for numerous reasons. Um, it's more fun for me." And I love that. I'm a bit of a romantic about the music business. So I mean, I love the fact that somebody can sit in a room and come up with a melody and lyrics and affect the world. I mean, it's crazy to me to think that a song can have so much power. And so, I kind of said to her, "Look, I really like you. Oh, no pun intended, since she had a song called "I Really Like You." I really like you, and I said, "But I really like working with writers." And she said, "Well, I am a writer." And I said, "Oh, okay, I didn't know that." I said, "I assumed because of Canadian Idol, you probably weren't a writer." And she said, "No, no, no, I write. In fact, I've got a CD with some of my demos on it. Can I drop it off tomorrow?" I said, "Sure." So she came by the 604, where the 604 office was then, dropped off the CD, and to my recollection, it had most of the songs, or at least versions of most of the songs that ended up on Tug of War, which was her first album. And she wasn't even on the label, I was just managing her. But we put the album out on Maple Music, and it did well. Like, it didn't go through the roof, but I think we had a top 10 hit, a top 15 hit, a couple of videos that did exceedingly well on Much Music, and people noticed. She got a couple of Juno nominations, um, and it was like, okay. But when it came time for the second record, she approached us and said, like, "I'd rather be on the label," because I think it was a bit of a romantic notion for her to start her own label and put it out herself. But of course, that also means she's got to spend all the money. And I
Hmm.
think she was like, I don't want to spend all that money. And I think, to be honest, on the first record, I ended up spending all the money anyway as her manager. I don't think she really had any money. And we said, okay, sure. We had some success there. Why not? Let's put you on 604. So we put her on 604, and the first record we did was Kiss with "Call Me Maybe," and I put her with Josh Ramsey from Marion Trench. He produced it and co-wrote it. He had also produced and co-wrote a song on the first album, Tug of War, called "Sour Candy," which is a great song. And for those of you who are interested, or either fans of Mariana's or Carly or both, that video is up. It's been up the whole time. It's called "Sour Candy" is the name of the song. Great song, funny video. And yeah, I listen, I wouldn't sign somebody I didn't believe in, but I had no idea that "Call Me Maybe" was going to do what "Call Me Maybe" did. That was a shock for everybody concerned,
Yeah,
and it happened so
absolutely.
quickly, so quickly. Like, at first, it didn't happen quickly. We put it out in Canada, and it started to go up the charts. And I think we put it out in October, if I remember correctly, maybe October 2012. And it's going up the chart, and all of a sudden, it really started to go up the chart, to the point where Christmas week it was number one in Canada. Justin Bieber just happened to be home for Christmas in Stratford and heard it on the radio. He tweeted this tweet with a picture of him and Selena Gomez, saying, and I think he said, "This is the catchiest song I've ever heard." And then boom.
Yeah.
Like, now, the song was already starting to explode before Bieber. In fact, we were already negotiating an agreement with Universal France, because for some reason it had really blown up in France. I'm not even sure why. I seem to remember there was a blog, maybe, that I can't remember why. I remember the video really blew up in France, and we were that close to doing a deal with Universal France until Bieber tweeted. And when Bieber tweeted, boom, every record label in the world was calling, and people were flying in. And next thing you knew, um,
Yeah.
that's, yeah.
Yeah. It's I remember when it came out cuz I was in middle school at the time, and like even back then I was more kind of, I guess, an old soul. I liked the Beatles and that sort of thing, but it was, yeah, like you knew that song. Everyone knew that song when it came out. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's really unbelievable. I mean, I'm not exaggerating when I say that every single day there's some business on that song.
Mhm.
Sometimes it's something small like a compilation record in South Africa. Sometimes it's something peculiar like a soap commercial in Poland. And sometimes it's something just awesome like it got licensed recently for the next Paul Thomas Anderson or film, which I mean it's probably my favorite director, and it's a thrill when something like that happens.
Yeah.
But it's really unbelievable how many uses it gets. It's everywhere, and I don't think it's going anywhere. I just don't think it's going anywhere. I think it's
Yeah.
around, and I always say to my kids, long after I'm gone, you'll be thinking of me every time that song goes on the radio.
Yeah. For sure.